Entrepreneurs, we are obsessive about our growth. We go above and beyond, putting in the necessary required effort. We find happiness and fulfillment through that success, through expanding our limits and reaching new heights. And that all sounds great, right? But it can also be a double-edged sword if it translates to the fact that entrepreneurs can also be control freaks, perfectionists, and derive our self-worth from our business. All those things can also be superpowers if you can fire yourself from the day-to-day tasks and step into the visionary role. That's what's going to scale your business. When I first started my business, I was doing it all on my own. I was the video editor, I was the director, I was copywriter, sales team, social media manager, operations manager. I was Sally in support, I was Tom in IT, I was everything. CEO sometimes means chief everything officer. I would burn the midnight oil with my head down, working countless hours and into the weekends. And this is a common scenario for entrepreneurs. Of course, when you start out, you're a one-man show. And this is necessary if you don't have the resources yet to hire someone. When that business is that small starting off, it can be manageable, but at some point you'll reach your capacity and hit a growth ceiling. So let's say your business begins to grow, you're scaling at a steady pace, you have the resources to hire someone, and yet you don't. Have you ever said this to yourself? If you want something done right, you have to do it yourself. We get so used to doing it all on our own that we don't trust anyone else to do it for us. So we just grit our teeth and say, I'll just do it myself. It's quicker, it's easier, until it's not. I had a mentor once who suggested that I make my first hire. And I was trying to tell him, oh, it's just quick for me. I can just do it. It's easier to do it myself than to train someone else. And I'm the only person that can do it this certain way. And what he said next to me completely rocked me. He said, Marley, you're not that special. You are not a snowflake unicorn. I was both offended and relieved. And that was the beginning of me starting to realize that if I am constantly in the tactical and day-to-day of the business, how can I ever make strategic decisions to scale? Do you think that visionaries like Walt Disney was painting every animated cell, or that Elon Musk is putting every piece of every Tesla vehicle together? They create the vision, and of course they can be involved in the manifestation, the physical creation, but they also have the team to take it and run with it while they can maintain the high level and even pursue the next steps of that vision. So this is where I realized, and even to this day, have to still remind myself that my business will grow with less of my day-to-day involvement. That might sound counterintuitive, and I'm not saying that I'm absent from the business, not at all. The CEO or visionary of a business can still be working 12 or 14-hour days if they really want to. I'm not saying you should. If it's the context of the activities they're doing. If Walt Disney felt the need to lay every brick at Disneyland himself, it would never be the happiest place on earth that we have today. We would never have the movies that lasted through generations, never have the characters that warm our hearts and that we resonate with, because he set that vision, but he didn't have to be the one to build it all himself. When you juggle too much, things fall through the cracks and you begin to drop the ball. Your mental health is impacted and you may not be fully present when you show up to work. When this happens to an employee, we're quick to take action, right? We check in, we ask what's going on, we try to help, but we're not always as quick to check in with ourselves and be honest about our capacity. So the question is, when do you know you're ready to hire, and how do you grow a team to scale your business? First and foremost, you typically know you're ready to hire when you can no longer keep up with the demands of the business, and especially when it's preventing you from growing your business. You may be spending too much time answering emails that could easily be delegated to someone else rather than strategizing and bringing in more clients. And this process may look different for everyone, but I want to share with you how I was able to grow a team that helped me scale my company to a 7-figure business. Number 1, identify the time suckers and the energy wasters. What do you find yourself taking too much time on? Is it managing your content on social media? Is it creating content? Is it project management? Answering questions from potential clients? Make a list of all the things that you do in a day. I like to do a time study, which is basically an assessment of what I spend my time on. So every 15 minutes, I write down what I'm doing for a week or two. And at the end of the time study, I tally up what I spend the most time on. So whether it's strategy, self-care, tactical work, etc. And this is such an effective way to identify the time suckers in your business, because often the day passes us by and we tend to forget what took up our time. We just know that we were super busy. And every time study I do, I'm surprised to see what actually takes up most of my time. I actually do a time study pretty regularly. I use an app called Timular where I track my time day to day. And I personally like this because for one, I get to see where I'm spending my days week by week and see how things change. And also it's a little bit of personal accountability that I see how productive I've been. And I certainly don't want to catch myself putting on the time study that I scrolled on Instagram for 45 minutes. So it also keeps me on track. The second part is identifying the energy wasters. What's something that you dread doing? It may not take a lot of your time, but it does take a lot of your energy. And the good news is there are a lot of qualified and skilled people who are energized doing the same tasks that leave you feeling drained. So whether that's creating spreadsheets or sending emails, you can hire those tasks out. Number 2, get clear about where you're going. I had no idea how much I was going to love building a company culture. As a leader, our job is to create more leaders, and those leaders become inspired when they see the path laid out in front of them and they feel like they get to contribute to that vision. I think intrinsically, people just want to know that they belong and that they matter, and that's what empowers them to show up their best. And it all has to start with you showing up for them and showing them that path. What's that quote? If you don't know where you're going, any road will get you there. If you don't know, they won't know, and you can only chase your tail for so long. Employees are typically more motivated when the business owner, their leader, has a clear vision and knows exactly where they want to go. And this builds morale. People really want to be a part of something that they can help grow. So before you start the hiring process, write down the vision, your goals, be very clear about where you want to take the business so that you also attract the right talent for that vision. Number 3, the hiring process. This is where entrepreneurs can certainly feel a lot of uncertainty and anxiety. Hiring someone is a big step, and of course you want to make the right decision. So how do you hire the right people, like the A players that are truly in it? So imagine this, your business is like your baby, right? And whether you're a parent or not, I'm sure you can resonate with the idea of hiring childcare support for your kids. I'm actually in the process of hiring a nanny right now, and I'm so thankful that I actually have experience with hiring team members, but it made me really conscious of the comparison between the two. Do you think that I'm just gonna hire some random off the street and just let them into my home, even, let them borrow my car to drive them to school and just hope that it turns out okay? Your business is your baby, and you should put as much care into hiring the people that are going to potentially be the face of your business or run that operation as you would in the people that are going to care for your children. So what efforts would you go through to hire childcare for your baby versus for your business baby? I would be doing things like reference checks. I would be getting to know them personally, professionally, getting to know about their culture, their background, their stories, the experiences that have helped shape who they are today. I would do a test assignment to see an example of their work. I would spend some time with them, maybe in a probationary period. I would get others around me in the company or in my family to get to know this person so that I can get their opinions too. It's so important you don't skip any of these steps, because I've always found that if I tried to rush towards hiring because of pain that I was in and needed to fill a position, it ended up backfiring. It was a waste of time. You waste so much money in hiring and in turnover if it doesn't work out. So hire slow, and really even if you're in pain in really needing that role fulfilled, it's worth the wait when you find that A player, because when they're an A player, you know they're an A player and they're going to make your life and your business so much better. I actually have a video on my channel that I'll link below where I explain our entire hiring process, including the questions that we ask them in interviews, the things that we ask to find out if they're a good culture fit, the test assignments, the whole process, and how we even onboard them. So I'll link that below. Go check that out too. Have you ever heard the phrase hire slow, fire fast? I agree with the first part. Hire slow, take your time, really find the right fit. You won't regret it. It's like relationships. Some people rush into marriage, but typically the relationships where you date and you really get to know them, you make sure you have the same values and that you have the same vision. Same thing for in your business. Hire slow, take the time to find that person. When it comes to the second part of that quote, fire fast, that's the part that I have a little bit of an issue with. If trust is lost, or if something has happened that is a complete deal breaker, yes, that trust is likely not going to be regained back. And let's just, end things as clean as you can. I'm trying to figure out what to say there. I think in times of discomfort in the business, when you're in the messy middle of figuring out a process or working with a new employee in training and onboarding, sometimes you can feel the constraint and the discomfort and be like, no, I don't want to do this. It's not working. It's them. It's not the process. It's them. It's the person. It's not the process, because the process falls back on us. on the leader, on the CEO to create the process and be able to then clearly direct the person. So if you're ever questioning, is this a relationship that's not going to work out? Is this a hire that's going to end? Make sure that you assess, is it the process? Is it the person? And have I, as their leader, done everything that I can to clear up and set expectations? I will say that one of the biggest mistakes that I learned when I first started growing a team is that I did keep people when it was no longer good for the business. I put a lot of my heart and my energy into the relationship, and I was worried more about the relationship than really what was good for both of us. I actually had an employee once that we found just wasn't a good fit. And when I let her go, of course, it was sad. You never want to let go of someone. But when I let her go, I told her that I really felt like she would excel in a different position. And unfortunately, I didn't have that position available in my company at that time. And I think it was about a month or two later that she reached back out and said that she was in a new position that she loved and that she took that advice of going towards a different position that she could really excel in. And it made me really glad that I did the uncomfortable thing in letting her go and trying to guide her towards something that I thought that she would be good in. Because if I didn't, I would be doing a disservice to both of us. I could hold someone into my company because I felt like I owed them something or that I wanted to keep the relationship and hold both of us back from growing in our own business or personal development or pursuits. And so by doing this, it can waste a lot of money. I've actually gone into debt holding on to people longer than necessary. Letting go of people is the hardest thing to do because most of the time you really like the person and you built a connection with them. But having them on the team may no longer align with the vision of the business. So the hiring process itself should be slow with interviews, perhaps some test assignments, aptitude tests. I love doing personality assessments when the time is right. But when you know that it's time to let someone go, make the decision with confidence, with compassion, and do it quickly. Hiring is one of the most important decisions you're going to make in your business. And once you hit a certain number and you can no longer do everything, it's time to bring people in. And last but certainly not least, trust your gut. You know your business more than anyone else. You've come this far. Trust that you'll make the right decisions along the way. And even if you make mistakes, it's a part of the process. Again, I mentioned I have several videos on my channel that outline our full hiring process. And it might seem lengthy, but it's for a reason and it creates the amazing company culture we have today. So click link below, I'll link that and go check it out and subscribe and like this video and comment and all the things that YouTubers ask you to do. Thanks, bye.